Take a comfortable seat in Hero's Pose. Let your hands rest on your thighs or cup them lightly. Shoulders soft, tongue rests at the roof of the mouth to unhinge the jaw and to encourage nose breathing. We're going to close our eyes softly, but then gaze down towards the floor. You can even drop your chin a bit. You'll feel the back of the neck lengthen. And then open your eyes halfway, third of the way, halfway, somewhere where you can see and focus upon the floor or the edge of the mat or your knee or your palms. This is actually a meditational practice called, creatively enough, eyes half open. And the idea is to gaze upon a steady either point or area and let your eyes softly rest there and notice that you have peripheral vision, but with the squint of the eyes, you're able to focus in on even a very plain, boring space like the edge of the mat or the grain of the floor. And the practice here is to help to still the mind. Sometimes when we close the eyes all the way, we go back into story. We go back into memory or projection. When in fact, the practice is being present to right here. And true joy resides in being present. And as you cast the gaze down, begin to bring your awareness to the rise and fall of your breath through your nose yet again. When you are tempted to look around or even scratch or move the body, release that temptation and come back to the rise and fall of the breath and the eyes half open practice. Of course, if you need to blink, blinking is allowed. That's a question that comes up. Just take a couple of more breaths here. And then go ahead and rest the eyelids, close them. And then cast your gaze to the center of your heart and place there your intention for coming to class. Why you come to your mat. What do you look to harvest? How do you wish to practice? And if you'd like, place upon your heart center anyone you'd like to dedicate your class to, your pets, your family, the glory of internet service, the people who make things work behind the scenes. Gather that up with both hands across the center of your chest, and we'll practice in dedication to our own desires and to the benefit we can be for others as well. We'll begin the class with a soft Om. Take a deep inhale. All right, make your way slowly onto all fours. Remove the blocks. Remember, how you move between the poses is just as important in Yin. We're going to set up for a 1-minute down dog. I'd like you to turn your palms outward a bit. And then as you come into the down dog, which can also be done with the knees on the floor, you You can even start there. It's more like a gentle puppy pose. But then if you want to straighten the legs and come into down dog, turn the feet out and the heels in and open your feet so wide so that maybe just your inturned heels are on the mat. And just like your hands are turned out, your feet are turned out, and your hands and feet are as wide as you'd like them to go to help distribute the weight. I like to think of this as a water bug pose. And then an ever so gentle bend in the elbows and an ever so gentle bend in the knees so that you're not pressing into ramrod straight. And then go ahead and let the head dangle, but turn your whole facing gaze to the right. So turning the head as far as it'll go. Again, the subtle bend in the elbows. And then dropping your head and letting it rest to center. And do the same thing to the other side. Turn the face and gaze to the left. And then dangle the head to the center. We're in down dog for another 40 seconds. Tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth so that you can let the jaw unhinge. Belly soft. Can you feel the belly fill and empty as you inhale and exhale? Gaze can be upon a steady, non-moving point or area, if that helps to still the mind. Or you can certainly practice letting your eyes look around the room, but notice when your eyes land upon something. Can you land upon it just as an object, as opposed to something that you're responsible for cleaning or fixing or painting or putting away? I'm gazing upon a glass of water. I'm just taking in the shape and the color. The observer. You are the observer. Take a nice long inhale. Fill the bowl of the belly, the sides of the belly, and the back body. And as you exhale, begin to bring your knees down to the floor. We're going to come into a child's pose to give the arms a rest. Try the child's pose where the knees and shins are together rather than wide apart. Fold the belly down towards the thighs. Let your arms cast behind you. Let your forehead come down to the floor or a block. And if this isn't happening for your knees and ankles, you can stay up on your elbows and keep your hips forward. You can also take blocks or a blanket and put them underneath your rib cage and lean your rib cage into that with a block underneath your head and your arms draped back behind you. 1 minute in child's pose. Now, it takes a little bit of work for us to move the body around, and work is kind of synonymous with muscular action. And that's fine to use the muscles to move the bones, to make these creative shapes in our body so that we can feel joints finding more space and connective tissues finding more space. A lot of the postures we put ourselves in press on acupressure and acupuncture points. That's good. We want that. But it's important that once you move into these shapes, you invite a state of rest. And so belly breathing reminds us that we're here and present. Eyes perhaps halfway open can visually remind us that we're here and present. Breath can remind us that we are present for the inhale and present for the exhale. For when we turn off those muscles, we can bypass the muscles and get into the fascia and connective tissues that holds everything together. And I wouldn't suggest you do yin twice a day, every day, nor would I suggest after this class that you go for like some intense run. I would wait till this afternoon and maybe make a brisk walk instead. This is an unhinging, an undoing to all the yang, Y-A-N-G, yang energy in our lives. Both are excellent. One complements the other. Nice big inhale here. Nice big exhale. Remember, you want to come out of this pose kindly as well. You're going to come onto all fours. Pick up your blanket. And I want you to roll it up. And we're going to come forward into a Sphinx pose, moving your hips back. Slowly come down to the elbows and slowly lower your hips to the earth. And then take the roll of the blanket and slide it above your hip bones, below your navel, kind of get it right into the lower belly, unless there is some reason why you shouldn't be pressing on your lower belly. It might not be comfortable if you're on somewhere in your cycle where it's not comfortable. Of course, if you're pregnant, you should probably not be pressing on there either. From here, we're going to come out into half frog on the right side. Did I mention today's class is going to target our hips and digestion? Now, half frog, you can extend the right heel away further and lift the knee up higher and just feel where you want to access. We're looking to get into the front of the left leg, that's the straight one behind you, and then that inner left thigh and some of the outer right hip in a Sphinx pose. And we'll stay for just about half a minute more in Sphinx. And then we're going to lie all the way down. So at any point, if you want to lie all the way down, you're welcome to. You've done the work to get here. Even with the head and face lifted for this first one. Can you add rest to the shoulders? Can you let the belly and pelvic floor get soft and heavy? Once again, revisit the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth so the jaw can rest. And feel how the breath fills and empties the body through the twin portals of your nose. And relatively speaking, this pose is somewhat restful compared to down dog. But even more restful now will be to come all the way down to the floor, crossing your palms, letting your left face cheek rest on your hands, and nuzzling that blanket into your lower belly, the space between the hips and the ribs. Letting the body get heavy here. Rest as you breathe. And once again, if the eyes closed takes you too much into story or expectation or judgment or that little voice of very busy women and men, as we fortunately are again, then feel welcome to open your eyes either all the way or halfway and find something for your eyes to rest on and be the observer, not the housekeeper, not the responsible one, visually observant. About 20 seconds left here. Eyes can be open or you can close them and rest them. Maybe even resting your eyes on the back of your eyelids. Nice long inhale here. Nice long exhale. Going to work your way slowly up onto your elbows again. Extend the right leg back behind you, and we'll take half frog on the left side, taking a moment to adjust the knee, the shin, and the ankle where you'd like it so that you can feel sensation on the inner left thigh, pressure of the belly on the blanket. On this side, we're going to take half a minute on the elbows, and then we're going to eventually straighten the arms. You can keep your head lifted as we did last time, or let the head begin to drop down so the neck is long, and then let the heart begin to soften towards the earth as well. We'll take 1 minute here. This is called melting heart pose. It took a little bit of work to get here. Can you turn off the work and arrive in some rest? And once again, if the mind takes you on a little journey when you close your eyes, open your eyes. Gaze upon something as plain or bland as your yoga mat. And just remind yourself you're in the present with your vision, with your breath, with your intention. Now, by this point, I hope you found some rest, even within the work you need to do to hold yourself in this shape. But now drop into continued rest as you lower down to your belly, stack your palms, and turn your right face flip to your hands. And see if you can take the rest one notch further. And again, eyes can be opened or closed. Through the nose, take a long inhale and a long exhale. You're going to lengthen slowly. See what that feels like to lengthen the left leg back behind you. Your whole belly resting on the blanket now. Both legs back behind you as close or wide together as you'd like to. And then come back to your Sphinx pose. Elbows a little bit in front of the shoulders. Press into the palms, and if you'd like, lift yourself up for seal pose, but let the shoulders drop away from the ears. Perhaps a little micro bend in the elbows. Gaze is forward, neck is long, eyes are opened or closed. From here, begin to drop the left ear over towards the left shoulder. Push down a little bit more firmly through the right hand. You're welcome to glide the ear over towards the inner armpit, working the chin down towards the chest, stopping anywhere along the way. Eventually, the head hangs down to center. Glide the right ear over towards the right shoulder, slowly on the way up, pushing more firmly through the left hand, finding that presence on the left side of the neck as the right ear rolls up to the right shoulder until the head is lifted but the ear is dropping. And then take your head slowly back to center, upright, long, still here, or drop to the elbows if you'd like. So our breath can help keep us present. Our gaze, non-judging, observer gaze can keep us present. A mantra can keep us present. Placing upon the breath as you inhale, I am, and as you exhale, the words right here. Removing expectation, removing judgment, removing competition. I am right here. Keeping ourselves present on the mat is a practice for keeping ourselves present into the joys and the sorrows off of the mat. Keeping ourselves present to joy as it's happening. Keeping ourselves present even to sorrow as it's happening. Without story, expectation, without exaggeration, seeing things as they really are. One more big inhale and rest now as you lower all the way down. You can do anything you want with your arms if it's too, and with your head. If it's too much to have the blanket across your belly, please remove it. Rest your expectations. Rest your competitive self. Rest your will and desire. I am right here. Going to slowly begin to bend the knees. And then let your legs slowly drop over to the right. The blanket will kind of nudge itself into your lower right belly. And then bring your feet back to center. The blanket nudges into your lower belly. And then drop your feet over to your left. Get that blanket above the left hip bone into your lower left belly. This is so good for digestion. And then slowly back and forth, kind of creating peristalsis, which happens automatically within our body, like a little massage. And then release the feet. You're going to come up onto your elbows I'm going to show you, we're going to start on the right side and roll onto your right with the blanket. I'm going to do a little sleeping Buddha on the right-hand side. Now, a couple of things you can do here. The blanket is going to come across, I'm showing you from the back deliberately here, the right waistband. You can also put a block underneath the blanket. Let me show you. And you're going to take the right waistband now and bring it to the blanket or the blanket and the block. And then have a second block handy that you can rest your head on. So look, there's options. We're going to rest this way, or you can put your elbow on the floor or the block. Easier said than done. And then you're going to rest your head on your wrist. But rather than turning your wrist this way, which our hands do a lot, turn your wrist this way and turn it in, and rest your head on the top side of your palm, top side of your wrist. So if you just have a blanket, the blanket goes to the waist, the elbow goes to the floor, the hand turns in, and you rest this way. That's plenty. If you have blocks, you can boost up anywhere you'd like a little bit more. Sleeping Buddha. A minute and a half here. Now your gaze can keep you present. Your breath can keep you present. Mantra can keep you present. The somatic experience of being in your body, being in your body, can keep you present. So perhaps scan the body on your inhale and notice where you feel good. You can also scan your body and notice where you feel tension still, whether tension that resides or has come with you from the days when you're not doing yin, or tension perhaps that we've created now. So tension in the back of the wrist, tension in this side bend. In yin, we create healthy tension to counterbalance the tension that's in our bodies to be productive in the rest of what we do, our yang energy. This between the wrist and the side ribs is also pressing against wonderful acupressure points, good for digestion. Our body can do so much to heal itself. So present to sensations within the body. A long inhale, a long exhale. I'd suggest you take your left hand down to the floor underneath your right armpit and use your left hand to press you up, because that poor little right hand is going to take a minute to unwind. And then you can open and close the right hand. That was healthy stress, I hope, that you put on your wrist in the opposite direction of how we usually use it. And when you're ready, use your left hand and right elbow to sit yourself upright. And we're going to turn to the other side and take Sleeping Buddha on the left. Hopefully you still have the setup that you had from the right side, but it's that positioning. The left hip rests on the earth. You lift the rib cage up and over the blanket or the pillows. Left elbow comes to the floor or the block. And of course, you're welcome to turn your palm and make a shelf out of the palm, or you can turn the palm down like we did before and rest the head on the outside of the left palm. You can also lie all the way down on the earth. Did I mention that? You can lie all the way down. Sleeping Buddha, minute and a half, left side. Practice what technique helps you stay present now. Gaze, breath, mantra, body sensations, both pleasant and unpleasant. For a minute and a half. Nice big inhale, nice big long exhale. Use your right hand now, which hopefully is speaking to you again. Press it down to the floor underneath your left armpit. And use the right hand to press you up and unfurl the left hand as you bring the left elbow to the earth. Look at that left hand, all the work our hands do for us. Open it wide, slowly curl it in. Move that wrist around any way you'd like to. You created that healthy tension as a counterbalance to how we usually use our hands the rest of the day. And I'm not going to be going into any handstands for the next hour or so. All right, sit yourself all the way upright. Land on your left hip. And we're going to take a shoelace pose. The left knee stays bent beneath you. Take your right leg over it. Now you can hook the ankle, or you can begin to push the thighs together and stack thigh over thigh or knee over knee. Option here is to to straighten the bottom leg and to do single shoelace with the right leg on top. Second option, pick up that blanket or block. Actually, pick up the block if you want to sit on something and sit on the block, because now we're going to pick up the blanket and roll it up, whether you're single shoelace or double shoelace, put it across your belly again. I am going to do double shoelace. I have been hauling bags of mulch, 8 of them yesterday, another 8 of them today. My hips are needing this. Notice my knees are nowhere near the earth. You could certainly put a block underneath a knee if you'd like to, if there was any pain in the knee joints. But it's also okay to let them hang and find space in the knee joints. We're just going to fold ourselves forward. Wait till you try this. Just simply the connection of the hips now to the lower back. And maybe upright was plenty for you, single or double-legged. You take the first couple seconds to move and walk the ankles and feet to where they'd like to be. And then you slowly can let the head drop or stay lifted. And it's okay for the knees to be suspended off the earth as long as there's no pain. It's okay for the head to dangle and not reach a support as long as there's no pain. And it's okay if you don't need your arms to turn your palms up and your knuckles down so that even your palms have less work to do. And encourage the bottoms of the feet to broaden and soften, and the palms to broaden and soften as we turn off our responsibility for moving the body and we turn on our curiosity in what we feel like in this body. What anchors you now to presence? Maybe it's a lovely combination of what you see and what you feel, how you breathe, and the mantra of I am right here. For we are right here for another minute and a half. Be present to a long, slow inhale through the nose. Open the mouth and try that again. A long, slow inhale through the nose. Open the mouth and press yourself slowly up to seated. What do you feel? And then lean your way back onto your elbows. Slowly unwind the legs till the feet are on the earth, the knees bent. And begin to slowly windshield wiper the knees side to side. Not as a twist necessarily, and definitely not as an aerobic exercise, but as a massage across the tailbone and the sacrum. And yeah, there's still rotation of the thigh bones and the hip sockets to kind of spread that love we found in that shoelace pose. But really feel your heaviness as you come across the sacrum and tailbone. Like you could pop, like your mat's made of bubble wrap, and your heaviness can pop, bubble at a time, across the ridge of the lower back to the outer hip. It's one of my favorite sequences, that single or double shoelace to the bubble wrap. Makes you look at bubble wrap completely differently. Like bubble wrap wasn't good enough already. Come back up to sit. We're going to shoelace the left leg over the right. You can have your right leg straight in front of you and do single shoelace. That really feels phenomenal. One caveat with that, you're stretching more into the right hamstring. If the folding fold is too jarring on the back of the knee, you take a blanket or a block and put it underneath the knee, even still. Such these shoelace poses, they're like a hug, a tight, aggressive hug sometimes, but a little hug. Or you do both feet, a little flex in the foot so that you can find space for the ankles to be comfortable. You can push the feet further forward or back. If you use the blanket on one side and you want to use it again, roll it up, put it across the lower belly. If you want to block underneath the knee because there is pain and this expansion on the outer right knee doesn't feel like a good idea, please block. Otherwise, let it hang. Walk the hands as far forward as they'd like. And notice where you begin now. You know, these hinges take a little time to undo. That's why yin is relative movement. I'm not saying come into this starting pose and stay there for 2.5 minutes. I'm saying come into this starting pose and be present to what you feel and where you are. And then let the melting occur. And allow for the melting you can control, like the softness of the jaw as the tongue rests on the roof of the mouth, the broadening of the bottoms of the feet and hands. Then maybe the head drops down if it would like to, and the spine begins to round. Slowly the elbows hinge and soften. And it may be over the next 2 minutes that this is where you stay, or it may be that by allowing presence and softness, you can allow the body to shift where it naturally falls, like sand shifting through a timer, through a sand timer. It just kind of falls and creates a new shape as it gathers at the bottom of the sand timer. Speaking of timers, I'll make sure our clock is on so that you don't have to worry about how long we're here. You can just get curious about how you breathe, whether eyes are opened or closed, whether mantra takes you into presence or body sensation. I am right here. A little over halfway through, feel welcome to shift the body deeper into sensation. Maybe a little more bend of the elbows or a heavier drop of the head. Or, of course, if it ever becomes painful and you've dropped too far into sensation, you slowly walk your way away from that edge. Go ahead and give yourself the gift of a nostril inhale. Hold the top of the breath and inhale deeper still. Open the mouth and ha as you exhale. It's a real heart warmer when you say that ha sound on your exhale. We'll do that again, a long, luxurious, take your time, inhale, pause at the top, and open the mouth and ha. Slowly press yourself upright. Notice sensation as you press yourself upright. Walk your hands back behind you instead of just elbows. Oh, look at you unfurling those legs until the feet come to the earth. We are so fragile. We celebrate that fragility in yin, landing on hands, hips, and feet on the floor with knees bent. Another slow windshield wiper now, popping the bubble wrap below the ridge of the hips, kind of where the hamstrings attach under there, and rolling all the way out to the outer hip, getting curious about the weight and the little pressure point massage you can do as you slowly roll from one hip to the other. Did I mention a few times already we're working on hips today? All right, the next time you turn towards the front of your mat, continue to turn that way and work your way up onto all fours. Take your rolled up blanket and slowly unroll it so that it creates a pad again for you to kneel upon. And kneel upon it. Have your blocks at the ready if you've got them. Bring them to the front of the mat, or no blocks is fine as well. I'll demonstrate both. We're going to come into a dragon series. I'm going to suggest you reach down and pick up your right leg and step it forward. Why not? And then the upright dragon, you can slide your right foot as far forward as you want and let the hips come forward and down to put some lengthening sensation up the front of that left hip. Try pointing your back toes behind you to see if that increases sensation, or tuck the toes under to take some pressure off the knee. From there, the fingertips can stay on the floor and we keep the chest, throat, and gaze lifted, or feel welcome to take the hands to the blocks and lift the chest up taller. It's going to put more extension in the spine if you're interested in it or not. You can also bring your elbows down to the blocks. But we want to keep an upliftedness in the chest with hands either on the blocks or the floor. We'll take 45 seconds in this. Yin's dragon poses are a little bit fierier, so we really just do them for about 1 minute apiece. What anchors you to presence here? So much. So there's so much sensation in the body. Some of it is tension we create. Some of it is tension that you've brought with you, that perhaps you can let soften, like the shoulders or the jaw. Breath brings us into presence. Upon what and how we gaze brings us into presence. Mantra, I am, as you inhale. Right here. And like magic, we're through. You're going to come back now to a type of runner's lunge, letting the right leg straighten in front of you. Hands on floor or block. Do a healthy wiggle waggle of the right thigh bone and the right hip socket, mostly so that those 24 bones in your foot, I think it's 24, can get really wobbly, so that the foot can get some rest as well. And then let the leg fall to where it would like to, and continue to walk your hands or the blocks further forward. You can put a little bend in the elbow. You can drop the head if you'd like. Ungrip the jaw and see if that helps to ungrip the belly. 1 minute here. Nothing anchors us better to presence, however, is than noticing when you are not present. Just like nothing teaches us more about being patient than noticing when we are not patient. So notice when the mind or the view or the internal voice or the breath wanders. Aren't we fascinating how that happens? We are not alone in the wandering mind. It's what enhances our creativity. It's what keeps us ready for the next thing. But in today's practice of presence, notice when you are not present and come back to any of the anchors we've been working on. For as we practice them here, we can enhance them so that when we are off the mat, we practice our presence off the mat as well. Oops, we went for 1:15. You don't want to get too flexible in your hamstrings. You're going to come forward with the right foot still turned out to a dragon winged lunge. So you can walk the right foot wider if you'd like. The toes turn out to 1 or 2 o'clock. Both hands come inside the leg to the floor of the block. Roll onto the pinky edge of the right foot and maybe use your right elbow or hand inside the right knee. Now, I like to take a block underneath my left elbow to give the wrist a break. We've done a lot with the wrist today. And then hands can go inside the knee to help you roll open. Just enough pressure of the left hand or elbow down to the floor so that the left shoulder can drop away from the ear. Step 2, if you'd like, bend the back knee and pull the heel towards your glute. Reach your right hand back and grab onto the foot or grab onto your pants. And then turn your face and gaze to the right. And if you'd like, let your left ear drop towards your left shoulder as your left shoulder drops away from the left ear. We've been here a little while already, so just 30 seconds here. Sometimes if you know you have less time somewhere, you can be present faster. If you only had 20 seconds to come back to the present moment, what tool or technique would you choose? Carefully release the back foot. Carefully walk both hands inside the front foot. Carefully pull the hips back and make your way onto all fours. Kneeling on the blanket, hands to the earth, round the spine in a cat pose. Starting from the tailbone, we're going to sway the spine. So just the tailbone lifts and work that sway through the spine. And then let the head, neck, and throat lift. Keep it lifted. We're going to step the left foot forward now. I encourage you to take your hand behind your left knee and pick that old girl or guy up and step it forward. Upright dragon to start. Make sure you walk the left foot far enough forward so that as the hips slide forward and the hands come to the floor or the blocks, you can find your uprightedness, left elbow to left knee or hands down on the floor, but we want to keep the chest uplifted. Hands can come to the blocks as well. You find that long length up the front of the right hip flexor. Nothing keeps us more present than body sensation. There it is, right in the hip. Can you be present to the sensation up the front of your right hip as sensation alone, not as that age-old story of, oh my God, my hips are so tight, because quite frankly, our hips are designed to be tight. We need that spring in our hips so that we can get in and out of a chair, so that we can hike and go up and down stairs or do vinyasa yoga. So no story, but the observer of sensation in the body. And how fascinating a practice that can be, so that when we step outside and the beautiful summer sun hits our faces, we can be present to the beauty of that experience, not the story. When we first go into a swim in the ocean, we can be present to the sensation of cool water on warm skin, not the story. One more big inhale. A little bit heavier through the hips and shoulders as you exhale. And then peel yourself away from this glorious sensation and begin to lengthen the left leg in front of you. Move the blocks back or your hands back, and then soften the foot and wiggle waggle the whole thigh bone in the hip socket. Let that foot unhinge itself, right? So much work on the bottoms of those feet. Oh, we're even yinning the yang that it took to walk from your bed to your yoga mat. And then let the foot roll out. And come forward again for the lunge with blocks or hands inside the foot. Winged dragon. I'll turn so that you can see. Winged dragon. Walk the right foot to the left foot turns to about 10 o'clock. You can walk the left foot wider. And you can roll onto the outer edge of the left foot, only if that serves you. And then from here, the right elbow down to the block or down to the floor. The left hand inside the left knee, rolling the chest open, maybe using some pressure to roll the hip open, clearly looking to create some rotational stress on the hip, as well as that long up the front of the right hip stress. Then turning the face and gaze to the left side of the room, drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Press your right elbow or right hand down just enough so that the right shoulder can drape away from the draping right ear. Eyes can be opened or closed for 1 minute of presence in this shape that you have worked to get to so that you can rest within it. Maybe notice what you see on the left side of the room, whether it's sensational or very matter-of-fact and mundane. Practice seeing to anchor you to the moment. And imagine or know that this practice of anchoring your presence in your sight is also a wonderful practice for when you're off the mat, so that you can be present when you look into someone's eyes and speak to them, so you can be fully present at the joy of the rising or setting sun, or as you gaze upon nature or artwork or reading a book. Oh, that's the best one. You read the same paragraph over and over because you realize your eyes are open, but you're not present to what you're reading. Refocus, using your eyes as a tool for presence to the current moment. Carefully unwind. Carefully step back to kneeling on the blanket. From all fours, round the spine yet again. Sway the spine and walk the hands forward as you pull the hips back. Drop your forehead down to the floor. Try this. Walk your left hand forward. Bend your right elbow and make a cushion of your forearm for your forehead to rest on. Then the left arm can walk even further forward, but you've got the right elbow and right forearm to support you in this melting heart or puppy dog pose. 5 breaths here. Let that left shoulder unhinge all the way from the shoulder blade to the armpit to the heaviness of the unworking left hand. 3 more breaths. Present to sensation in the body. Present to where I can soften and do less. Presence to my breath. And my patience to allow the yin to happen. Press into the right elbow Slide the left elbow down to the earth and pause with elbows on the earth. I love this sequence too. Walk your right hand forward. Cross your left forearm across to parallel the edge of your front of your mat. And rest your forehead if it reaches to your forearm. If it doesn't reach, you can walk your knees back a little further. And then let the right arm walk even further forward. But let the right palm soften. So there is work in the left elbow. There is heaviness in the right shoulder. From the right rib cage, even from the right waistband, to the right rib cage, to the right armpit, to the elbow, to the heavy, soft right hand. Maybe send the presence of your breath from your right waistband up the side of the body to your heavy right hand and back down upon the exhale. 3 more breaths. Press into your left elbow. Then drop your right elbow to the floor. Work your way slowly back onto all fours. Round the spine slowly. Then lengthen the spine. We're going to take either a twisted tadpole or a twisted child's pose. So what we're going to do is cross the left arm under the right and bring the left shoulder and the left ear towards the earth, pillow, or block. Now you can stay right here, or you slide your hips back either over the knees or all the way back to the heels. So that would be your twisted child's pose. Or anywhere in between hips to heels or hips up and over the knees where you'd be in a twisted tadpole. And then let the right elbow rest where it would like to. So find a space where you would like to twist that can help put some weight into that outer left shoulder now. And then rest. Get heavy. Get present through any of your techniques. Now, often music helps us stay. Sorry, I dropped an earbud. Often music helps us stay present. Notice we have no music today, so that you can hear your breath or see what you see or feel what you feel or create a mantra that keeps you present. Now that is 1 minute. Whenever you're ready, you're going to switch sides in whatever fashion you'd like. So the right arm will come under the left arm, the right shoulder and ear towards the floor or the pillow or the block. Weight can be forward into the head or the shoulder. Weight can be somewhere in the middle, or weight can be all the way back towards the heels. One is not better than or less than. If your weight is more forward towards the shoulder, you'll put more work into your shoulder and your neck and your upper back. If the weight is more back towards your heels, you'll put more work in the lower back or healthy stress in the lower back and the mid back. Not better or less than, just different. Breathe into your presence of the pose. A nice long inhale. A nice long exhale. Use your left hand to press you back up onto all fours. Pause for a moment. Walk your knees over to the right side of the mat. Take a seat on your hips and swing slowly or lift and guide your feet forward. From here, I'd like you to take the soles of your feet together and keep your bum on the folded blanket. Ease your way down onto your elbows and then onto your back. Soles of the feet together, knees open wide. Experiment with feet further away or feet closer in. It may be that feet further away gets into your groin and hip hinges more than if your feet are closer. So just try feet far away with soles of the feet together. This is kind of like a bullfrog on our back, or heels closer in. And then take your warm palms right across your, what we're going to do is take the thumbs to touch each other like this, like you're making little goalposts, and take the thumbs right below your navel and spread the fingers wide so that you can have some finger warmth over your hip bones and then some nice warmth between your navel and your pubic bone on your lower belly. Rest your shoulders, rest your warm hands on the lower belly. Maybe you can feel your heartbeat through there. And let the warmth of your hands work its way through the layers of your skin. And like the warm summer sun, watch as it begins to warm your internal organs, like the sun is kissing the insides of your organs and making them bright and healthy and vital. And then receive the warmth from your belly right back into your hands. The presence of intention, of wishing yourself well from the inside out and receiving that wellness and pouring it right back into yourself. I am right here. I am healthy. I am resilient. I am at ease. Slide your hands to the backs of your thigh bones and use a little uplift of your hands to place your feet back on the floor. Pause for a moment here. You could let your hands rest back on your belly. And then keep your hands on your belly if you want, like walk your feet wide and let your knees drop over to the left. And lo and behold, your hands slide over towards your left lower belly and waistband. You can spread some warmth and healthy vitality over to all the organs on the left side of the body as the knees drape to the right. You could also take your right ankle up and over your left knee if you're looking for a little more weighted twist. Let the head get heavy. Re-rest the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Take a long inhale through your nose. Hold the top of the breath and then open the mouth and ha. You can use your hands on your thighs if needed to bring them back to center. Pause with the feet wide, hips on the earth, hands on the belly. Give and receive that warmth and drop the knees over towards the left. Lo and behold, the hands migrate over to the right side. A little warmth and affection to the right waistband, the lower right belly, and the organs on the right side. Give and receive presence, health, vitality, resilience, and peace. Left ankle can come up and over the right knee and thigh if you'd like. Ooh, maybe a little less peaceful, but hopefully of benefit nonetheless. Through the inhale, a long sip of air. Hold it, open the mouth, and staying here as long as you'd like until you unwind the feet back to center. Pausing for a moment with the low back whenever you're ready and sliding yourself into Shavasana. Hands and feet can be open wide, or hands can stay right on the belly. Knees can stay bent if you'd like, and you knock the knees in toward one another. Make it simple. Drop into rest. Be present. As you inhale, I am aware. As you exhale, I'm aware of peace. And then bring your awareness to the belly where the hands rest. And place there a wide, shallow bowl of crystal clear, warm water. And place your awareness upon its crystal clear surface. And let your presence and your focus rest upon that crystal clear water, knowing that any movement in the body, even exaggerating the breath, would cause a ripple in that water. You choose stillness, for stillness of body encourages stillness of mind and certainly creates stillness and clarity of the water upon which you gaze. And if and when a thought arises, don't judge it, but let it drop like a small pebble to the bottom of the shallow pool of water. And let it go as you bring your awareness back to the crystal clear clarity of the water and rest within presence this way in today's Shavasana. My work is loving the world. Here the sunflowers, there the hummingbird, equal seekers of sweetness. Here the quickening yeast, there the blue plums. Here the clam deep in the speckled sand. Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still not half perfect? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished. The phoebe, the delphinium, the sheep in the pasture, and the pasture, which is mostly rejoicing since all the ingredients are here, which is gratitude, to be given a mind and a heart and a body, clothes, a mouth with which to give shouts of joy to the moth and the wren, to the sleepy dug-up clam, telling them all over and over how it is that we live forever in gratitude. You are welcome to stay here in rest and awareness of it for as long as you'd like to. It is a gift to have the time to continue to rest. If you're ready to move again, stay restful and present to it within yourself, even as you begin to bring movement to the body. Even imagine yourself going forward into the day, present as you get the next cup of coffee, as you brush your teeth, as you do chores, as you find loveliness, as you read poetry, as you look into people's eyes as you speak to them. When you're ready, stretch out fully and hug one and both knees into your chest and give yourself a tight squeeze of gratitude to you for the work and presence you did today. Roll over onto one side and remember your intention for coming to class. And remember whomever you may like to dedicate your class to. Notice if it's shifted. Be present and allow for shift and change as you come up to a comfortable seated position. Or as you stay where you are, we will close together with the sound of an open mouth exhale. And upon your breath, be present to the process of sending whatever warmth of sunshine or blessings or health or patience, whatever gifts you'd like to send to others. Send it upon the sound of our open mouth exhale, whether you're seated or reclined. Most of all, watch as they receive it and benefit from the gifts you send. Together, a deep inhale. May your practice continue to bring you peace and ease, and recognize and be present to it. Namaste. Now, I will remind you, after doing deep work in yin, to drink plenty of water. Room temperature or even slightly warmed is most best received in the body. I'll also suggest, after having done a lot of kind of hip and shoulder work, that you not do any super strenuous hip or shoulder bearing work for the next, say, 2 or 3 hours. If you need to, you need to, but just be aware and present that we deliberately put stress on shoulders, some of the back and hips to kind of unhinge, and it's going to take the body some time to kind of suck it all back in again. So just enjoy that loosey-goosiness. Take a hot bath if you have time, but enjoy that. And I hope to see you again soon. And reach out at any time with any recommendations or suggestions, or what am I looking for? Requests. I take requests. WillaWorks.com. Thanks for coming.